It looks like the purveyors of Board Game Geek have pissed off the entire board game fandom to the point where it's absurd. Left or right, up or down, wherever you stand on things, Board Game Geek has really dropped the ball on everything. And they're not fulfilling the function that they used to try to do, which is always what happens when SJWs infiltrates a site. It's really a terrible, shameful thing. My name is John Delarose. I am a #1 best-selling author and comic creator. My books are on Amazon. I've got a bunch of links in my description below, so please check them out and support the channel, support what we're doing. We don't have board games yet, but we'll get there eventually. All right, Board Game Geek is coming under fire from IGN writer Matt Thrower today. He says a suggestion, please don't support Board Game Geek if you were thinking of doing so. The money vanishes into a pit with no site updates, full of trolls, and most of the content and moderation done is unpaid labor by users. It remains an embarrassment as a major online presence of our hobby. Board Game Geek is one of the biggest websites in board gaming in general. They have full lists of almost everything out there. They've got reviews posted, they've got forums, they've got rules updates for everything. It's really a lot of content on there. And I wish there was a great alternative that I could point you towards at this point. But Board Game Geek has been a site that really, it's a 10-year-old site that really has not changed very much at all in terms of its functionality. It's not very user-friendly, but because of the great content that's put by users, like Matt Thrower says, on there, it's been a very useful resource in general. Wikipedia can be very similar in some regards. Sometimes that site has a lot of information on there that's put up by users. And of course, there's a lot of information that's useless that's put up by users also. But the site purveyors have been very activist in the way that they've handled things. Over the last year, there's been a lot of controversy surrounding Board Game Geek, as AntLab Games, a YouTube reviewer, got eviscerated and got piled on by people because they ran afoul of the SJWs in the industry. I made a single comment defending AntLab Games from harassment, and they banned me from their website. It goes similar. If you just look up Board Game Geek and banned on Twitter, you'll find that TGG Games, a big retailer and board game creator and distributor, was banned on there because of their rule book having a frog on it that looks like it kind of made an OK symbol. Absolutely crazy. Other people just have commented on here. They banned me for absolutely no reason. I've been banned and labeled a sexist for asking why a competitor designer acted the way Elizabeth has. That's Elizabeth Hardgrave, who is the designer of Wingspan and a very active SJW out there. With Board Game Geek, it's an IMDb of board games. It's a good way to describe it. Permanently banned, well-respected designer Phil Eklund, who's an old man and a literal rocket scientist, after SJWs harassed him on their site. So this is what they've been doing for a long time. As you see, a prominent YouTube reviewer and my favorite YouTube reviewer and top 10 list purveyor, Board Game Bullops, says it's a totalitarian online state. Don't support totalitarianism. So it seems like the industry's catching on. The fact that an IGN writer would actually say this too, and it's truthful. None of their money that they get actually goes back into the site. All the content in there is not put on there by them, but by users who do it for free. As he says, even SJWs at this point are calling them Trump supporters for blocking, though, again, their politics on Board Game Geek leans very heavily left. It doesn't make sense here. But everybody seems to be hating this site. They've really shot themselves in the foot over the past year or two. Seems to be the thing that's going on across the board game industry. We're watching as Cool Mini or Not is turning off its player base because Eric Lang is out there spouting his mouth about Trump supporters and Christians and conservatives all the time. We see the same thing with Elizabeth Hartgrave, as I mentioned before, and other prominent board game designers who are just telling their customers that they hate them. Now, this is mostly a family hobby. This is people who want to play and hang out with their families on a Friday night rather than go out and drink and do whatever. And so, trying to push that base away, which is the main customer base, is really a sad thing. You'd think that politics wouldn't have to be a part of this. You'd think that it could be left out of at least this. But unfortunately, it is getting involved in everything at this point, and sites like Board Game Geek really have gone down the drain quickly because of that. But this is the truth. Don't support Board Game Geek. Don't give them any of the Geek Gold money and all that. I 100% stand with this idea. And it's nice to see that we can come together, left and right, for this single moment. All right, let me know what you think about this. Have you been banned by Board Game Geek? I'd be interested in hearing from you. Leave a comment down below. Hit that like and subscribe button. We'll be back soon.